Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. And yes, indeed, your eyes do not deceive you. We're back with Patriarch Balthazar Gelt. So I've seen some things recently that made me want to try Gelt and, just take a look at Final Transmutation in particular. I saw that I had that recent tournament game that I casted, the Total War Fantasy League game, where one of the players had brought a Chaos Sorcerer Lord with just Final Transmutation. That made me curious to try it. I've also been playing around with Turin, Gabo King, Jonton, some of the other YouTubers, and we've been kind of testing some things out. Final Transmutation, I think, is actually very, very powerful right now. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at it here with Balthazar Gelt to help supplement that single target gooning power. We've got two Witch Hunters, both of which have heavy armor-piercing missile damage, and Accusation, which is, again, single target direct damage. If you stack the Overcast Final Transmutation and the Accusation, you can do a ton of damage. So we've got a fairly standard state troop front line, nothing really too much to talk about there. Knights of the Blazing Sun on one side and Zintler's Reichsguard on the other, with the Royal Altdorf Griffites for that elite power. We've also got 4 units of Pistoliers. Because we're fighting up against the vampires, they have relatively low armor and, on their monsters, so the Pistoliers will be good at taking out things like Crypt Horrors. You can see they've got this Vargulf kind of wrapped up right now. Likewise, Knights of the Blazing Sun with their fire damage and their magic resistance are going to be very good here. They're more resistant to things like Fate of Buna with that magic resistance, and they also, of course, fire damage is good against regeneration. My opponent's got a Vargulf. He's also got the Claw Nagash Mortis Engine, the Red Duke, a unit of Blood Knights, and his front line is, let's see here, it looks like a mix of Skeleton Warriors, the Regiment of Renowned Skeleton Warrior. We've also got Feasters in the Dusk, 3 Graveguard, and the Stearnsmen on the side. We've also got the Dire Pack, a Regiment of Renowned Direwolves. So let's go ahead and see how things go. So right off the bat, I'm going to be getting my Witch Hunters to start focus firing on this Claw of Nagash here. Obviously, their heavy armor-piercing missile attack will be able to poke away continuously at the Claw of Nagash. We've now dropped that Final Transmutation. Just watch how much damage this does on the Red Duke here. So it's going to start taking off damage, and you can see he's definitely taking the business here. So it does quite a bit of damage too to all the units around him. Not the most, not as much as it did in the later stages of patch 1, but you can see because it lasts such a long time, it did about 25% HP damage. Granted, it is quite expensive in terms of Winston magic cost, but over here we've caught the Blood Knights with the Reichsguard, and we're going to be bringing in the Royal Altdorf Griffites for some anti-large armor-piercing support. The Red Duke's going to try and come over here and help support in this fight. You can see the Mortis Engine, though, is taking quite a bit of damage from those Witch Hunters. Won't get too close there because the Mortis Engines have a penchant to make very loud noises. But yeah, these Witch Hunters are just going to be popping off shots continuously, shooting into that Mortis Engine and doing a lot of damage here. The state troops are definitely not going to win. You can see we've lost out on this front a little bit. Knights of Blazing Sun, though, we're able to pin down this Vargulf for quite a long time and allow the Pistoliers to get some damage done. Same thing with these Dire Pack. They've taken a lot of damage from the Pistoliers and at this point are going to be crumbling away. So we have been able to deal with most of the threats on this side of the battlefield. The Blood Knights and the Red Duke are, kind of in this very pitched engagement here, so they're not part of the main line. And although a lot of my troops in this mainline engagement are getting drained by the Mortis Engine and then subsequently terrified, we've got the 2 Witch Hunters relatively safe. There's not too much that can catch them because the Blood Knights are all tied up. Same thing with Gelt himself. He's very safe here. Not too much to threaten him. So we'll go ahead and grab some cinematic action of the... you can see the Witch Hunters poking away, definitely dropping that the hammer on that Claw Nagash there. And they don't do the most damage. Let's see. It's going to be hard to tell exactly how much damage they do, but maybe about 300 or so damage. It's hard to say, but just because they can poke away consistently here, and there's not going to be too much to threaten them. You can see that Mortis Engine's just about done at this point. Red Duke's had to pour most of his magic into the Invocation of the Heck just to keep these Blood Knights on the field here. He has done quite a lot of damage to the Zintler's Reichsguard and the Royal Altdorf Griffites, but this battle is turning into a little bit of a grind here, but that's fine because we're keeping the Blood Knights away from all my other high-value targets back here. You can see the Mortis Engine does go down, giving that nice explosion effect at the end there, so now we're going to be able to get the Witch Hunters focusing on, Graveguard and other things like that. The Blood Knights are going to try and pull away from this engagement here to get on Balthazar Gelt. He's definitely going to take some damage from these Blood Knights here, so we're going to run back towards the spears here. And let's see, the Witch Hunter probably going to pop a shot into these Blood Knights here. we are going to disengage with the Reichsguard and the Royal Altdorf Griffites here and come to spring the Supreme Patriarch free. So very good stuff so far. And yeah, man, that Witch Hunter is really not good in melee. You can see he's starting to take a little bit of damage, but because of the support there, the Blood Knights are going to crumble relatively quickly, and we almost have enough magic for one more final transmutation. So you can see Balthazar Gelt charging up his staff here, going to be dropping that Overcast final transmutation. And this is going to pretty much finish off those Blood Knights and just do a ton of damage to the Red Duke. You can see he's taking off damage pretty substantially, beyond the fact that he's surrounded by the Royal Altdorf Griffites now, who are of course elite anti-large armor piercing, so they're going to be able to do quite a bit of damage to him as well. And the Red Duke is down, so just like that, he's gone, and the balance of power is immediately shifted in my favor. So yeah, my opponent is still got some troops on the field, but he is going to quit the battle. You know, it's pretty much over at this point, so I don't blame him too much for that. Losing your leadership like that with the vampires is pretty much a game changer. So without the kind of the high value units here, he just had a bunch of Graveguard that were going to get you know, just kind of cycle charged and shot to death. So well played to my opponent, though. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that. We'll go ahead and take a look at one more battle here with the Lord Metal, but 61 kills and doing a ton of damage to that Red Duke from that final transmutation. I do think that spell is going to be back in the meta. You guys will probably be seeing a lot of that on ladder. The Cav did its job. You know, the Pistoliers were able to help deal with the Vargulf, and you know, the Royal Altdorf Griffites dealt with the Blood Knights. You know, with the help of the Zintler's Reichsguard and so on. So yeah, definitely worked out like I had planned here. So let's go ahead and take a look at one more battle. This time I've taken the Warriors of Chaos for this metal build. So we've got 4 Marauders, 2 Chaos Warriors with Halberds, 2 Chosen with Halberds, Chaos Knight with Lances, 3 Marauders with Throwing Axes, and a unit of Dragon Ogres. And the Lord is just carrying Final Transmutation and Arcane Conduit. My opponent's, of course, got Manfred. He's going to be coming in on a Zombie Dragon. We've got some zombies up front with a second line of Graveguard, 1 Graveguard with great weapons, as well as Cryptor, a Necromancer, no mana battery on him, looks like just Raise Dead and Invocation. So going to be looking for some extra healing, and 2 units of Blood Knights on the far side. So let's go ahead and look at Manfred's spell selection here. Looks like my opponent's got Raise Dead, Invocation, Dance Macabres, all good spells. Purple Sun is a little bit of an odd choice against Chaos, but I guess he's looking for that to do some damage against things like Chosen. I would think Fate of Yuna would be a little bit better for that purpose, but Soul Blight as well, you know, to help the Graveguard deal with armored targets. I like that synergy. But we're going to immediately be pulling up and around. I don't have the most magic, so we popped Arcane Conduit right off the bat, and we're going to be trying to get that final transmutation underway. Quick charge with Chaos Knights with Lances into the flank here. Just going to be munching on those zombies and doing a ton of damage to the Graveguard as well. This is going to pull Manfred down into this fight. He's going to pop an Invocation on those Graveguard there. You can see the Cryptor is also rushing in. I'm going to bring my Chosen with Halberds to try and come support here, but my opponent does get a little bit of a block here with these Graveguard. The Dragon Ogres, though, you can see coming in on the far side, going to be trying to get in on these Cryptors here and help support in this battle. We've also got the Chaos Warriors with Halberds moving in. So far, so good. We've got the Marauder Horsemen up and around the back, and a lot of the Vampire units are starting to struggle a little bit here. Now we are going to be dropping that Final Transmutation on Manfred himself, so let's watch what happens to his health here. He's going to start taking some ticks of damage, and yeah, pretty solid so far. He was pretty much at full health, more or less. I mean, he did take a few hits from those halberds, but just look at the amount of damage. Each tick just does so much damage, and despite the regeneration that he has and everything, he's just really taking the beating at this point. He's going to be dropping a Purple Sun right on top of my Marauders here and my Chosen, so that's a pretty good play. He'll probably get some of my Chosen, but at the end of the day, it kind of wanders off in the other direction, and this is the main issue with Vortexes, why I think something like Fate of Yuna is going to be a little bit better in this situation. Now we're bringing in the Rat Ogres to challenge these, the Rat Ogres, Dragon Ogres, to challenge these Crypt Horrors here. Chaos Knights with Lances have come in for a rear charge. Very nice breath from Manfred there, though, and now also going to be dropping that Soul Blight, just debuffing the armor and, weapon damage of all these units here. Honestly, though, Manfred probably doesn't want to land here. He does manage to get a terror out on, my Marauders, but so far, the Chosen with Halberds and Chaos Warriors with Halberds are holding. You can see my opponent's Blood Knights have been able to collapse this flank a little bit, but they've been taking quite a bit of damage from those Chaos Warriors with halberds and the Chosen with halberds. They're going to now be detaching to come help deal with this flank. Manfred von Carstein is about half HP, give or take, and now, because there's nothing really to challenge my Marauder Horsemen, we're just going to pull up in range and start pitching those tomahawks straight into Manfred himself, who is now taking a ton of damage, being circle beaten by halberds and these Dragon Ogres here. It's a really, really bad day for Manfred, so a few more volleys of throwing axes as well, and you can see Manfred's down to only about 1300 HP. And rapidly dropping. The Blood Knights are coming around the flank, though, going to be trying to get some rear charges and potentially support, or it looks like maybe he's going after these scrap units here. But honestly, at this point, the balance of power is pretty heavily in my favor. Most of the Vampire Chaff units are crumbled away, and we're not going to have too much trouble, you know, with our halberds and Dragon Ogres and everything dealing with these Blood Knights. Manfred being so low is really you know, messed up the leadership of the Vampire Count's units here, because when your Lord gets low, it does have a factor on the balance of power, which then affects your leadership and so on, so a lot of these Vampire units are going to be crumbling away here. Looks like Manfred is able to squeak back up in the air, but we're going to pull up in range once again with these Marauders with throwing axes, just absolute MVPs in this matchup. Either if they throw at the Blood Knights or if they throw at Manfred, it's going to be super cost effective either way. You can see them dropping a couple unit models there, despite the Invocation of the Heck being dropped on them. Another Zombie Dragon Breath, doing a little bit of damage to those Marauder Horsemen, but it wasn't the best contact. But yeah, you can see these Blood Knights really don't have anywhere to go that's safe for them. Everywhere is anti-large armor piercing, and yeah, it's just going to be a bad day for them. So we'll grab some cinematic action as the Chosen and the Dragon Ogres and everything wrap up these Blood Knights here. And yeah, the Zombie Dragon as well gets felled by the Sorcerer Lord in the final moment with, of course, the support of the throwing axes. And this Vampire player is also just going to concede. I was about to drop a Final Transmutation on that Necromancer there, which would have probably been the nail in the coffin, but that's the end of things. So well played to my opponent. Once again, Final Transmutation proving pretty nice there. Did quite a bit of damage to Manfred, although he did get 110 kills. You know, between that, the halberds, the Chosen with halberds, and the Dragon Ogres as well definitely played a key part. Really able to goon Manfred super hard there. So I do think the Final Transmutation is very good. I'm going to be testing it out a little bit more here and there on the ladder, but let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. If you've used it and had success with it, you know, let me know your thoughts. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. I'm keeping it coming with more Total War Warhammer 2 content every single day, so stay tuned for more, and we'll see you next time.